This is Parahan, and you are listening to The Parahan Show. Does Bigfoot have the ability to mate with humans? Like, could it procure an offspring? And how often does this happen? Are Bigfoot-like creatures potentially mating with humans? Well, as crazy as this sounds, there may be something to it, okay? Some new research has came out of Texas by a veterinarian who analyzed 4 samples of Bigfoot DNA. And what they found is quite interesting, that they believe thousands of years ago, a female human may have mated with a potentially Neanderthal hominoid species and procured an offspring. And this is where Bigfoot comes from. This is essentially Bigfoot's genetic makeup. Part human, part Neanderthal. Now, if Bigfoot has human DNA, right, and human DNA is very similar to primate DNA, then potentially they could procure offspring. Then Bigfoot could have children with humans. Now, what would be the point? What would be the purpose? Well, I think Bigfoot's trying to procure its species to continue on. There's not enough Bigfoot to mate with, so this may be how it continues on its species, by mating with humans. And this is how it's able to sustain itself based on a genetic biological viewpoint, okay? Because we know there has to be, because of genetics, there has to be a large population of Bigfoot for them to even exist, because there can't be sort of crossbreeding of incest, basically. You cannot have too close related species of Bigfoot mate. So perhaps they have to continue their species by mating with humans. Now, there are stories throughout history that show this potentially has happened. Okay, we know in Russia in the 19th century, in southern Russia, there was a legend, a story of a woman named Zaya, who was believed to be a wild ape woman that lived in the forest of southern Russia and was captured by a local farmer who sort of made her his wife and made her a part of society and integrated her into everyday life. And she ended up marrying this man and having children. But what's interesting about Zaya, is the description in which she stood 6'6" tall. She had sort of recessed eyes. She was covered in hair. She could outrun horses. She was very strong and could lift 10 times her weight. So you have to wonder, was Zaya actually human? Was she some sort of new hominoid species? Was she potentially a Bigfoot human hybrid? It's very possible. And, you know, we have stories from Russia as well, where we have a scientist who was conducting experiments in which he was actually trying to use artificial insemination to impregnate females with primates. And they actually were able to successfully have the sperm attached to the egg, but the scientist was never able to take it to term. The fetus would die before conception. So we have stories throughout history of these Bigfoot-like hybrids. And even today, there are stories that we continue to hear of these Bigfoot creatures taking humans and mating with them. As crazy as it sounds. But maybe this is some sort of way, like I said, to continue the species. When Ernie Ostman, I believe his name, from Canada, in the early 1900s, a logger in Canada, was taken by a family of Bigfoot. They exhibit very human-like patterns. And he almost felt like he was captive by other humans because of the way they treated him. But he did see some animalistic nature. And you have to wonder, was he there as potentially a mate for one of these Bigfoot? And he said that there was a younger female who appeared to be the daughter of this Bigfoot family that he was trying to, that they were trying to introduce of some sort and potentially have them procure offspring. So why is it that these Bigfoot-like creatures seem to take humans? Why do they want to go after humans only at specific times? I think it's quite possibly to procure some sort of mate to continue the species. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What you think, because this is an interesting topic and we need to be serious about this because we're not trying to joke. This is, realistic. And I just think it's an interesting topic to think about when you look at the research that's been done into Bigfoot.